Yo, welcome to another Dragon Ball FighterZ patch 1.40 video, this time looking at Blue Goku. He got some interesting changes, and we'll start with his combos because they reduce his recovery on Ki Blast and increase the speed of his auto combo, which gives him new routes. Auto combo change on the third hit, the high one, is now 24 frames instead of 26 frames. And his aerial Ki Blast have reduced a delay on it, which makes it recover faster. Sure, it could also help you confirm these IAD combos, but nothing really changes mid-screen. The real changes happen in the cone that we'll see with his loops. I've been getting some comments about some beginner-friendly stuff, so the basics for Blue Goku is that his loops, you do a bunch of air normals, delay the tackle after jazz to loop it basically. There are a bunch of different routes and loops you can get into. These are just easy single loops that you can get started with. And these are loops, right? So we need to loop this and we repeat it with JLM here for tight timings, although these can be really difficult. But at high hit stun, you need to end with EX dive. Now there's a lot of different types of loops. These are just freestyled ones, and I want to explain how the longer they're on skill starters, you need to go into EX dive to end it. But now it's time to go over his new combos. Not an optimal combos guide just yet, just a combo showcase. So with the sped up auto combo, if you can get into a really low to the ground 5L loop without using your smash, Blue Goku has access to a new meterless ender, which can be interesting using that 5LLL. Speaking of new routes, he has these new 1S loops. Before he could only do one rep, I'm pretty sure, but now you can actually get these loops in, although it is pretty difficult and not optimal. Where the change of shine is off like 2H's, his regular 2H gives like 3.6k. And if you want to go for damage, you can do this route for like 4.1k, right? But you lose sliding knockdown. But with these auto time loops that we're calling the base Vegeta Loops, you can get even more damage while preserving smash. This one is an auto-timed one. I'm just pressing everything, no timing at all, and everything just links together. A more auto-timed versions by delaying that JM there, and then this leads to 4.5k, but isn't auto-timed. But the same exact route is auto-timed off a Dragon Rush, and this leads to 3.5k, almost 2 bars, which is huge for something that you can just mash. And with delays, bro, you can get all the way back down to the ground for grounded loops, but these can be really hard. Just showing off one here, but you can get up to like 2 or 3. And I wanted to show off one more base Vegeta Blue Goku loop that's auto-timed. Here you jump cancel so you get more height so you don't land to the ground too early. I got some good news for y'all in terms of optimals though. Blade the GOAT on Twitter found this auto-timed loop. The only hard part is just not overmashing, and it works on everyone universal for 6.5k. It is off of 2M sadly, but 6.5k, 1.4 bars, solo, auto-timed? That's a W. Alright, now I want to move on to neutral real quick. So with the new updates, his specials, this tackle, Divine Void Strike, there's less recovery on whiff. And there's less recovery for his dive kicks. His light versions are like minus 32, 33, 31. Medium version also at like 35, depending on the height, because if I'm super high up, more recovery. And his Ki Blast is 1S, 2S series, also faster at 31 frame startup. Pretty good. Now, Blue Goku is already a menace using his specials with assist. You know, his tackle will go through projectiles. You guys know all about that. But the big change is with his teleports. When he's on the ground, doing 226S appears behind them, and doing 214 appears in front of them in the air. And up in the air, doing 214 appears on the ground, 236 on the ground. It's also only like 32 frames in the air and 34 frames of recovery down on the floor. Now, when paired up with his Ki Blast, I feel like a lot of people don't really understand how to maximize its usage. The first thing people do is just, you know, appear and then 2M. Appear whenever they want in the air and then 2M, because, you know, it jump scares people. And while that may work at first, people get used to this. You know, on reaction to you teleporting, they can just jump up. On actually teleporting, they can super dash, and that's when using it smart with assist comes in. And you need to also think about positional advantage. If he's already in the corner, why would I appear in the corner? I'm just asking for me to block and hold a crazy combo. When you're grounded as well and you try to snipe him up in the sky, try to use the one that appears behind them. That way, even if they do maneuver, you're safe, right? But the thing about Blue Goku's tool is, yeah, he can move really fast. People really want to like move fast, do a lot of things with him, disappear, reappear, command grab, right? They want to do all of this. You know, you want to beat their projectile, be within range. His JS is really good. These tools are his fast tools, right? His pokes is really good pokes. When you have meter, EX plus assist, even up in the sky can be really strong to like manipulate distance and space. And that's when you want to use your teleports to appear behind them. 3S is the one that appears behind them, which is really good with assist and all, you know. The big thing though, especially when I'm watching online players, is that both of these options, yeah, it's fun to layer around. Then you can go for pressure and stuff, but you're throwing these Ki Blasts without understanding the situation. Because even if I don't know what side you're on, the way Dragon Ball FighterZ work is that there's tracking, not just with Super Dash, right? But even if you do your teleports, auto combo. So a big thing about Bluku is that these Ki Blasts, what they incite in your opponent, especially online, is you want them to interact. You shouldn't be throwing these out expecting to like get a hit and confirm like, oh, that's hype. You should be throwing these out to be like, okay, yeah, I want you to like super dash at me now. Only I know where to appear. You don't know I'm mixing you. I want you to try to like mash. Because when you pair these with your specials, that's when it really shines. Here he appears behind me, so I think it's a Ki Blast, but it's not. It's the one where he teleports and I hold that EX Lariat. So getting used to pairing your tools, especially when they try to chase you down up in the air, can be really good. But obviously if they're sniping your landings, don't just throw it out. And speaking of being chased down, if they're chasing you down, that's where 3S can really shine. 3S to get behind them, or even 1S to create distance, then you have a defensive assist backing you up, so it makes it really hard to catch Bluku. Y'all are thinking about offensive movements, but defensive movement is really strong with him too. Now speaking of these Ki Blasts, you guys need to think about what's the next step. Since Super Dash, for example, is something that I said is really common on reaction, well remember, his level 1 is frame 4 invul now. And if you have 3 bars, remember level 3 also appears back on the ground for opponents. So if you have these super aggressive opponents, don't think, oh I can't teleport. You can manipulate it to get the outcome that you choose to punish them. Now for the aerial version where you appear on the ground, if they're just dash blocking patiently, then you can't get much. But if they're actively chasing you, so you disappear, get ready to 2H, be grounded, play your options right. When you start punishing your opponents, that's when you can really layer in your offense. You can use in different Ki Blasts, different teleports, add everything together, and then don't forget about his usual tools. There's also something that used to annoy me, like yeah, it's really cool to do all this, I don't know where you're going, but be responsible with it. In pressure, yeah, it can be nice to pair with IEDs, because if you're in the corner, then this is a tight way to steal the corner from mix-ups like that. Because you can pick the side that you land on, but the same side can't reach with your 2Ls. But it doesn't make it totally useless sometimes. On the ground, the one that appears behind them can be kind of useful, I suppose. But come on, be so for real, this one is nowhere near as good as the IED one. But in the corner though, this actually does give you a 50-50 because of the way that it appears, where you can get a delayed high or fast fall low. And it's crazy because depending on how they block, it might appear same side. So if you high block it, it appears in the corner, which can be inconsistent. You don't know where it's going to be, but it's still a high-low 50-50 regardless of corner or not. Then you can also add in flows to come back out the corner. Doesn't work on bigger characters if they're standing up though. But if you get them to crouch, you can set up some media, and it's really good for Bluku because it's meterless mix. So you can have fun with that one with different assists in the corner. Make sure you practice them stand blocking and low blocking on different sides and different assists. But mid-screen though, you're going to be sticking generally to the floats, EX kicks, and all that high lows, commando, grabo. I want to talk more about this move though being fully invincible on frame 4. Frame 4 means you can let this fly during vanish situations. Primarily 3S as it goes up behind them with a higher chance to hit. Mid-screen you're not guaranteed much though, you can go for like a vanish combo. In Spark though you get free confirms because doing the light specials actually builds you more than half a bar for the EX special. And we already know Bluku has some insane vanish routes if he wants to go for that. The thing is, if they're standing, then you can link into your lariats, which is nice if our backs are to the corner because then we can get into his corner loops, you feel me? But it doesn't combo if I'm crouching even on a hit, that's kind of weird. So yeah, it's frame 4, so you can go for it during pressure. You know, after you block 6M on block, you can engage in the Clash War. And these are probably the only areas where you'll catch them standing on the hit to actually confirm it. But in other situations, it just doesn't link, you know? So it can be a very inconsistent tool. I suggest just using an assist in case you know. Also, it's frame 4, so if their OK is terrible, you can let it fly sometimes. The only thing about it being a Ki Blast though is that it's vulnerable to super dash. So if they do things like dash block, that's when you can react to it and punish. That's why it's so important to alter your tools around though. Now for his Oki, there is some interesting stuff you can do with teleports, I guess, especially on soft knockdown. But on level 3, you can appear behind them, float, although it doesn't really hit meaty. Same thing mid-screen, when you don't really have good mix-ups from this far away, you can appear behind them with a Tiger Knee 236S. But again, this isn't really meteor tight, or maybe I'm just bugging. It's not even tight if you do the normal version, bro. And like, even if it was tight and you Tiger Kneed it, is this really mix? I don't know, I do see some potential in this mix though. I like it, I like the idea, but we'll just have to keep exploring, I suppose. On your sliding knockdowns, this can kind of be meaty, I suppose, if you add an IED, where you can mix in taking the corner. This works on JH knockdown as well. Although it does feel a little bit inconsistent. I think this is the tightest way that you can try to add his teleports into your OK if you think it's cool and really want to make it work. Although his regular OK is just really good anyways. And in the corner, here he has level 3 OK with fast fall low, or his floats high option after his super jump IADs as a 50-50 high low. On top of grabbing you, I think he has enough OK options. And finally for his assist, they adjusted a knockback to get ground bounce, which is huge, makes it really easy to confirm. Because look how they bounce, look how much time I have. And his C assist is faster at 35 frames, which is, you know, a C assist. And yeah, that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.